Hello there, welcome to another talk. And today's talk, I'll just turn that music down a little bit. Today's talk, meditation, because it's always a meditation, talk meditation, podcast, is called Spiritual Maturity on Your Spiritual Awakening Path. And spiritual maturity. See, spiritual maturity. What is spiritual maturity? Well, if you go on my website, lovelikefamily.com, I've got a whole page on that about spiritual maturity. But spiritual maturity is a combination of cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. Right? Cognitive intelligence is basically you've had the spiritual awakening, and then on your journey you develop this cognitive intelligence. Cognitive intelligence is basically you're taking on other people's emotions, but you learn how to deal with it. For example, if someone comes around me and they've got a lot of anxiety, I've actually trained my body, my energy field in my mind to transform that energy into a different format so that it makes me high instead of me being fearful like them. That is what cognitive intelligence really is. Basically, you're using other people's or the situations in your favor. And emotional intelligence is along that journey, and the cognitive intelligence comes with emotional intelligence. And then when you blend the two together, you get spiritual maturity. The spiritual maturity, part of that is knowing what to say, how to say it, using mindfulness, using presence through situations and days. You're going to deal with Decepticons, and not letting these energy vampires, because all these people have in their mind, the Decepticon only has one thing in their mind, because they're in this dream simulation computer game. They're being used as batteries by entities, and so the Decepticon is looking for energy. That's why they behave like they do, right? It's not because they just feel like doing it in this weird moment. It's because they're lacking energy. That's why I watch a guy called Alan Watt, who passed away in 2021. It's funny, it's interesting, because the talk I'm watching is from 28th of February, and 2021, he died on the 4th of March. And but he says in this talk I'm watching that the system at its top level calls us, the masses, useless eaters. and I've got to actually agree with him. That's kind of like what we are, but we're evolving. But what's actually happening is we're going through an awakening. The masses are going through a massive shift in consciousness. But the chosen ones, that you hear about, the 144,000 the Bible talks about. I'm not religious, but I've heard people saying that. 144,000 might be probably symbolic. I think it probably is. A lot of things are symbolic. A small minority, 144,000 compared to 7-8 billion. But you're chosen because you decide to be. It's not that anyone's chosen, it's that they choose to be chosen. You see, and spiritual awakening and spiritual maturity are a part of choosing to be chosen. That's it. You don't It's not that people are any more bigger or special, because ultimately, when you watch mediums, I watch videos of mediums on YouTube sometimes, and when they bring spirits through, they talk about the law of one. That is what your loved ones in heaven are at. They're in a different energy field. Heaven is the heart chakra. That's the energy of heaven. When you feel your heart, it's a love feeling. That's the vibration of heaven. And that is where your loved ones are. But the earth is going through a transition, and spiritual maturity is a part of it. And when people transition in death, they go through that spiritual maturity. But I once watched or listened to a talk by Dr. Wayne Dyer talk about something similar, and he says you don't have, people in death go through this, but you don't have to wait till death. You can go through the awakening right now. I awakened at 24. I'm 34 now, 24, because I had enough and I meant it. Didn't know anything about awakening, but I decided enough was enough, and I decided, unconsciously, to go within. But spiritual maturity is part of that. Spiritual maturity, part of it is knowing what to say, when to say it. It's incorporating things like mindfulness, the present moment, these kind of things into your daily life. Not overreacting to things. Letting go and let go of the mind and let your senses lead you. That's spiritual maturity, and what happens is you incorporate these things as you're evolving on your awakening path. Spiritual maturity is not very spiritually mature to tell a bunch of people that they don't exist. If you're talking about non-duality, for example, when they haven't even had a spiritual awakening yet, that's not very spiritually mature. I'm not going to dive into that, but there's some people, I watch some of them and I like some of what they say, but that's not spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity is knowing what spiritual information to give a person, when to say it, how to say it, right? It's a special intellect. Similar intellect if you're watching a boxing match or you're watching sport or football, soccer. They intuitively know what to do. There's a lot of intuition with spiritual maturity. Intuition plays a huge fundamental part. It's like and what happens is the HeartMath Institute talks about how when the heart and brain are combined, you develop this amazing intellect. And that is what I believe is divine intelligence. I believe there's a divine intellect that you develop when you're letting your heart lead the way, but it works with the brain. So it's like it's fine-tuning the brain into the heart. So basically your thoughts become heart-based. So it's a lot of things that people talk about in the New Age is no thoughts. You can have thoughts, but it can be heart-based thoughts, right? Like imagine if you're making love to someone and you've got these beautiful thoughts coming into you, telling you what to do next. That would be important thoughts to have, wouldn't it? That would be, if you didn't have them thoughts, you'd just be, what do we do now? So I'm using that as an example. Spiritual maturity. So intuition is not just about what they call the intellect. The intellect in this day and age is going to be left behind, because the new leaders of the new earth, the 5D new earth, are those that have had the awakenings, and the intellect, the academic, is going to be left behind. I for one don't have any qualifications. I got a SVQ in catering when I was younger, but I don't have any major degrees or qualifications. But the spiritual awakening now is the ultimate thing. In the 1990s, it was a porn industry and the UFO community that were the biggest industries. And now, UFO community still, but the spiritual community and New Age field is massive now because of the awakening. Because people want the twin flame, they want the great experiences. It's so attractive. Like what porn used to give people, the twin flame thing it's something similar, it's giving them that that rush. Like, I watch psychics sometimes. I get up at 5 a.m. because I'm a carer for my mum, and I like to get everything ready. And I watch psychics, and a lot of them have had spiritual awakenings. All of them, I think, that I watch. And they're on this twin flame path, and that's what's happening. There's an awakening happening, the new earth. And you know, and spiritual maturity is a big part of it on the awakening path. I've been on this journey for 10 years, and it is a journey. You know, even if you say you don't exist, yeah, but there's a time and a place to say that. Right? Some people are saying that, yes, that's true, on the deeper level, but you can't just, spiritual maturity would know how to say it. Right? There's a way to say things. You know? And that's when cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, and they work with each other. And ultimately, where this is going is us developing into super intelligent beings. And yes, in this dream simulation, and in general, there are beings involved. I have no doubt in my mind that there are people called aliens. You know, there's the Galactic Federation of Light. I called my website Love Like Family in tribute to that. Because that's why my website's called Love Like Family, because it's in tribute to the Galactic Federation of Light, which is what the new Earth is all about. And yes, everything has to come from nothing at some day, but I think David Icke explains it the best. Him and Eckhart Tolle explain reality very simply. It's genius. They both say that we're just a state of being aware. That's it. An infinite awareness. You know, and I think I'll end on this note by David Icke. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, research, please do check my website at www.lovelikefamily.com. Thanks for watching and listening. Thank you.